Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a treasure hid in the field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea, and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore, and sat down, and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away.
A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down.
You are my servants. Remember your place. We obey you, Majesty. We are honored to toil for you.
The time is right. The harvest will yield. The world swiftly.
A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down.
Yes, Your Highness. We will obey. You are doing well. Thank you, my king. Let them see the might of the throne. Yes, Your Majesty. Work. Let the land yield its riches. Yes, Your Majesty. I survey my domain. They are toiling as commanded. Yes, Your Majesty. We work until the sun sets. Let them work. The yield today is satisfactory. Keep them working. Yes, Your Majesty.
A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai. All right. And what I want to go into in this live stream, is dealing with Yahweh Shai, the Lamb of the New Covenant. All right. Which we know, all right, right now we're under grace. All right. And the new covenant will be established at the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay. What the Heavenly Father has done through the sacrifice of Yahawashi. The blood has already been shed for that new covenant. Okay. And Yahawashi, he's going to come back and establish that new covenant in us. All right. When we're changed. Okay. Because the new covenant doesn't begin, until we have those new bodies. Okay. That's part of the agreement of the new covenant, which we'll get into that. Okay. Well, first, let's go into the establishing of the old covenant. All right. Because the new covenant is established with the same people. Okay. And the difference with this covenant is we're going to be changed. All right. To where we can uphold our end of the deal. Okay. Of the agreement. You see? Now, when you go here, just beginning with Abraham. All right. We'll walk this covenant down. Okay. And then it was the Lord voided this covenant out. All right. And sent Yahawashi to be a sacrifice. Okay. For a new future covenant. Okay. In the times that we're coming into now. All right. Genesis 17:1, it says, and when Abram was 90 years old and 99 years old, the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua appears to Abram and said unto him, I am the almighty power, walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant, okay, between me and thee and will multiply thee exceedingly. Okay, so this is the Lord establishing an agreement, okay, a promise, okay, a contract between him and Abraham. Okay. And it says, and Abram fell on his face, and the Most High talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be called Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And you go into his word Abraham, because it went from Abram, all right, or Abraham. Okay, let's get that in the Hebrew as well. All right, Abraham. Okay, which means all right, exalted father. Okay, Abraham, exalted father. Okay, so you go here. Let's see. All right, because he would be a father. Okay, of the exalted people. Okay, Israel. All right, and as you go here, all right, which is Abraham. All right, Abraham, which means what, father of multitude or chief of multitude. Okay, because through Abraham will come a whole nation of people. Okay, that chosen nation, the covenant people, that covenant nation. Okay, so through the loins of Abraham, all right, you have Isaac and Jacob will become what? A multitude of people, a nation. Okay, so they were chief of the multitude, and there was a promise, all right, established to this lineage. Okay, and we're going to get into it. It says, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful and will make nations of thee. And that's speaking of the tribes. Okay, those 12 tribes, which each tribe is likened unto a nation, man. Because you even look at, how our people are scattered today, but you look at how people cover, 3 continents, man. North, Central, and South America. Okay. Each nation, being like a tribe unto itself, man, in the Isles. All right. And we're scattered everywhere. But just go into how a lot of our people, how they populate and function as, these different nations in North, Central, South America, man. Okay. So these nations is speaking of the tribes. All right. It says in Kings, okay, which lets you know this is a dynasty that he's establishing. All right. The Heavenly Father is establishing a dynasty through Abraham. Okay. And kings shall come out of thee, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed, which is singular, and thy seed, because Abraham had other sons, but there was only one seed, okay, that the promise was passed down to, and that was Isaac going to prove it. It said, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant. Okay, so it was always promised from Abraham that the covenant will be everlasting. Okay, it's transitioning from the old to the new, but it's everlasting. Okay, it says to be a power unto thee and to thy seed after thee. Okay, seed is in singular. Okay, now who's this seed? All right, and it was always set up from the beginning. All right, that it was going to be a new covenant with the same people, and this one is going to be the everlasting covenant, man. Okay, that's going to fulfill the everlasting covenant. This new one, it was always set up from the beginning. Okay, a new covenant. All right, will need to be established. That will be everlasting, man. Okay, so you just walk it down in Genesis. So let's go to Genesis 26. All right, let's see what's said unto Isaac. Okay, it says Genesis 26:1. Oh, I started 2. It says in the I started at 1. It says, and there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham, and Isaac went to uh, Am- uh, Abimelech, Slaki, king of the Philistines, unto Ger. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee, sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and I will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed, all right, singular again. So this was told to Abraham, unto thee and thy seed was told to Abraham. Now it's being told to Isaac. I will give all these countries and will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father, and I will make thy seed, all right, to multiply as the stars of heaven, and I will give unto thee, all right, I will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, beginning with the tribes. Okay, now eventually, when the rightful people, when they promise, all right, when that covenant people, which are the Israelites, all right, the children of promise are in rulership. Okay, after 1,000 years of rigorous captivity, Esau is done away with. These nations will get to enjoy the blessing of a righteous rulership, or we're established as everlasting rulers in the earth, man, according to this promise. Okay, but the beginning of this blessing begins with the tribes, man. Okay, this blessing that was given to Abraham, then Isaac, then Jacob, well, it's going to benefit the tribes, okay, immediately, man, okay? When at the return of YAHAWASHI, all the tribes, all right, the remnant of these tribes, okay, the children of Israel, you see, are going to be blessed, man, okay? Verse 5, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws, okay? And even the obedience of being willing to, because what solidified the blessing was Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac. He was obedient, okay? He was obedient even when it came to Isaac. Okay, he had faith that the Lord could raise Isaac up. Okay, so it was his faith. You know, he obeyed based on faith because there wasn't a law. You see, he obeyed based on faith, man. Okay, of course he was keeping the laws to the best of his ability. Okay, the best that it can be done in the flesh. Okay, but what solidified, all right, that the blessings, okay, was his willingness to sacrifice Isaac. Okay, so let's go here. Now let's go and see what was told unto Jacob. All right, this is the book of Genesis. Oh, I think 35. So like, it's Genesis 35. All right, Genesis 35:9. It says, and the Most High appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Pandan Aram and blessed him And the Most High said unto him, thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called Jacob anymore, but Jake. It says, yeah, thy name shall not be called anymore Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel, which is Yasharahla. He prince of the power. Okay, yeah. It was just like a royal title. You see, he put a royal title on Jacob. Okay, Yasharahla, from Yaquab to Yasharahla, man. Okay, verse 11 it says, and the Most High said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee. Let you know it's talking about the tribes. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. Okay, so showing you that these nations that will be blessed will be the tribes. Okay, that's why he told Abraham and Isaac, in thy seed shall the nations be blessed. Well, it was the nations that was going to come out of Jacob, these 12 tribes, man. Okay, so this is the people of the covenant, the people of the promise. Okay, and everything that comes from Jacob, okay, are a part of the covenant. Now there's a remnant who's going to be delivered and changed. All right, they're going to go directly into the kingdom. Okay, at the return of YAHAWASHI. Okay, and the rest of our people, they're going to have to be literally born again in the kingdom through the remnant. But they're going to be born under this new covenant, this everlasting covenant, man. Okay, showing you that the Lord was starting a dynasty with this lineage, man. Okay, and we're descendants of this dynasty, man, and we're being restored. This is what YAHAWASHI is coming back to restore a dynasty that was promised to our forefathers, man. Okay, verse 12, it says, in the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land. And let you know this, it was always intended for Jacob to get the blessing. All right, because this is Genesis 35. Remember, Jacob supplanted the blessing in Genesis 27. So if the Most High had, all right, out with Jacob about supplanting the birthright, well, shouldn't he have spoken against it by now? No, he doubled down on it. What Isaac say? When he finds out that he had blessed, all right, someone else besides when he had blessed Jacob instead of Esau, he say, what did he say to Esau? Yes, and he shall be blessed. He said, surely be blessed. Okay, let you know that it was all set up in the spirit for Jacob, man. All right, for Israel to get the blessing. It was already set up from the beginning. The Lord just had it play out for the sake of controversy, man. Okay. See, that's how the way the Lord wanted to dramatize the story. Okay, but in the spirit, it was always meant, all right, for Jacob, man. Okay, now when you go here, let's go here to the book of Exodus. All right, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 24, and verse 1. Now, this is after the deliverance out of Egypt. Okay, and you go here, all right, as we came out of Egypt, okay, as a nation, we went in 70 souls. All right, Jacob, his sons, their children, which would have been Jacob's grandchildren. Okay, and we came out a nation. All right, so now the Lord is going to make what? An agreement, all right, with the whole nation. He made an agreement with Abraham. He made an agreement with Isaac. He made an agreement with Jacob. Now, through Moses as the mediator, he's making an agreement with the whole nation. Okay, when you get to Exodus 24, it says, this is Exodus 24:1, and he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord, YAHAWASHI, thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord hath said, all right, we would do. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord and rose up early in the morning and built an altar unto the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes, okay, of Israel, man. Okay. So you still see it's dealing with that same lineage, man. Okay, these same promises, these same agreements is dealing with this one lineage of people. Okay. And we agreed to do the law, man. Okay. All the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord have said we will do. Okay. Moses read out the laws, which is like a contract. Okay. And we agreed as a people. All right. Just like a woman says, I do at the wedding. Okay. Agreed to all right, the commandments within the contract. Okay. So when you keep reading, it says, and he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offer burnt offerings and sacrifice peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood and sprinkled it on the altar. So blood had to be shed. Okay, you had burnt offerings, okay, peace offerings, okay, blood had to be shed. All right, it says, and he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of people. Okay, so he's reading out, okay, the contract, man, the do's, the don'ts, okay, the stipulation, the consequences, okay. And it says, and he took the book of the covenant, read it in the audience of people, and they said, all that the Lord have said we will do and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and then they're covered by their blood, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord have made with you concerning all these words. Okay, so we went into what a covenant, which is an agreement. Okay, let's see what it says here in the Hebrew, then we'll get it. Let's do a quick Google on it. All right, would you go? Okay, all right, Barayath. Okay, Barayath in the Hebrew. Okay, is what? A covenant, an alliance. Okay, a treaty. Okay, a constitution, an agreement, an alliance of friendship. You see, alliance of what? Of marriage between a Most High man. Okay, so we was in agreements. All right, we was in the friendship. We was in the constitution between. We had friendly relations. All right, we was in alliance. Okay, with Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Okay, and this goes all the way back to Abraham. All right, Isaac and Jacob, and now the descendants of those men. All right, have we came into a full contract, went into the details of the contract, and agreed. Okay, you see, but what happened, man? We went astray. Okay, we went astray, and it got to the point, that the Lord gave us chance after chance, man. The kingdom split, the Lord was still dealing with us, man. Northern and Southern Kingdom. Northern Kingdom, they could never get it right. They went into idolatry from the time of Jeroboam all the way to the Syrian Empire. Okay, and amongst the Southern Kingdom, you had a few kings that did right. Okay, and then at the end, they just got extremely wicked until we went captive to the Babylonian Empire, man. Because the Lord was fed up. Okay, by the time you get the book of Isaiah, man, the Lord is fed up with Jake, man. The Northern Kingdom first and then the Southern Kingdom. All right. So you go here. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 1 verse 10, and see by this time, the Lord is so disgusted, man. He's calling, all right, Jacob, All right, he's calling his people Sodom and Gomorrah at this point, man. And Jake just began with the leadership, went heavy into idolatry, man, and then Jake just became, Jake wild out, man. Toward the end, well, the northern tribe, like I say, they wild the whole time. Okay, the southern tribes were, they had a few reforms, a few good kings to come in and destroy certain idols, not all of them, and I think it was Josiah that had the most, severe reform. He got rid of a lot of idolatry, man. But right after Josiah, man, it was a wicked king after wicked king of the southern kingdom, and the Lord just said, "All right, you know, yeah, you got exiled, man. All right, it's Isaiah 1:10. It says, "Hear the word of the Lord, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our power, you people of Gomorrah." And this is speaking to Jake. When Jake is getting so wicked, man, he's calling Jake Sodom and Gomorrah, man. It says, "To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me?" And that sacrifices was protocol of what? The first covenant. Okay? But Jake was just going through the motion with sacrifices and still doing what they wanted to do, man. Jake had premeditated sin. You see? Jake had turned the sacrifice into a credit system, man. A credit system to sin. If you had the sacrifice, if you had enough livestock to sacrifice, man, you had a little playroom with sin, man, defeating the whole purpose. Okay, it says, "To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me?" Said the Lord, YAHAWASHI. "I am full of the burnt offerings of ram and the fat of fed beasts. I delight not in the blood of bullocks or in the lambs." All right, or I said, "or of he goats. When you come to appear before me, who have required this at your hand to tread my courts? Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbath, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hateth. They are trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them." Because Jake was just going through the motions, man. Jake wasn't sincere. All right. Jake was going through the motion, but still doing their own thing on the side, man. Okay. Jake had become a hypocrite, man. Jake had become, all right, fake, man. Vain. They was doing these things in vain just to go through the motion for the appearance of righteousness, man. But they really wasn't about righteousness, man. Okay? It says, verse 15, it says, "And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Yeah, when ye make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands, all right, are full of blood." Okay? So Jake had become wicked, but they were still going through the motions of their first covenant, man. But Jake wasn't sincere. They wasn't really being obedient, man. Okay, they were just doing the ritual aspect of it, but the day to day, okay, Jake was doing their own thing. Okay, and this is why when you go to First Samuel, all right, what did Samuel tell King Saul? Because King Saul did his own. He started to do his own thing. Okay, and then he was doing the sacrifices and going through the motions, but he was doing his own thing. All right, Saul is a big example of that, man. Okay, it says this is First Samuel 15:22. It says, "And Samuel said, Have the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifice as in obeying the voice of the Lord YAHAWASHI. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken, all right, than the fat of rams." Okay, so the Lord said to obey is better than sacrifice, because the sacrifice was to push obedience. The whole point of the animal sacrifice was for us to learn obedience. Because livestock had to die because of our disobedience. It was like, okay, it should make you think. Like, damn, I'm killing. They dying because I'm tripping. You see? But nah, Jake did the exact opposite, man. Jake was like, shit, I got a few, doves. Got a few of this, a few. I'm good. I can play a little bit. Okay, Jake had turned into the exact opposite, man. No, the Lord set up the law and the sacrifice, man, which it was always a shadow of things to come, but it was supposed to cultivate us in righteousness, man. Okay, it was supposed to cultivate us in obedience. You see, and that's why when you go here, all right, well, by the time we get to YAHAWASHI, okay, this is their last sacrifice, man. All right, because when you go here, St. John 1:29, okay, St. John 1:29, see, YAHAWASHI is our last chance to get it right. That's why 2/3 of our people, they reject YAHAWASHI. Well, they rejected the last sacrifice. This is the last, this is the Lord's last mercy for his people was the sacrifice of YAHAWASHI. Okay, and this sacrifice was supposed to make us get it like, damn. To say the Lord had to send his son back. Like, no, you know. St. John 1:29 says, the next day John see Yahushua coming unto him and said, behold, the Lamb of the Most High, which taketh away the sin of the world, which taketh away the sin of the world. Okay, in that world, the cosmos of Israel, that harmonious government, because what made us a harmonious government was the agreement that we had with the Most High. Okay, that agreement, we was a harmonious government with the Most High. We was in harmony with the Most High. Okay, but we broke that. All right, and there was always a promise of a new covenant when you go here. Okay, let's get that, and then we'll go back into Yahushua. Okay, but Yahushua was that sacrifice. Okay, that would set the stage for a new covenant. Okay, which we're waiting. Okay, for Yahushua to come back. As soon as we're changed, that's the new covenant, man. So when you go into the book of Jeremiah 31, it is always prophesied, even in the midst, because this is Jeremiah, so this is in the midst of the southern kingdom, getting ready to go into exile. All right, but the Lord had already had it predestined, okay, that he would establish a new covenant, okay, through his son Yahushua. All right, so you go into Jeremiah 31:31, said, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, the northern tribes, and the house of Judah, the southern tribes, the same lineage. Okay, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man, the children of the promise, the children of the covenant. It said, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Going back to Exodus 24, we read that, which my covenant they break. Everything we said because we agreed to do everything. Okay, and we couldn't hold up. Okay, in this flesh we couldn't hold up, man. And then Jake just got real sideways with the covenant, man. Okay, although I was a husband unto them, said the Lord. And what does a husband do? It's a caretaker, it's a provider, it's a protector. The Lord handled his deal. He handled his end of the covenant, man. We had to be okay. We went astray. We got proud. We got entitled, man. Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Okay, but the Most High, he played his role in the covenant, man. Okay, we fell short. All right, he said, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write them in their hearts, and will be, all right, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. Okay, so there's a change within us that happens. Okay, there's not a change on behalf of the Most High. Even the laws don't change. Okay, it's the same covenant with the same people, the same laws, but he's going to put it in our inward parts, man. It's going to be those new bodies, man. Okay, we're going to change in this new covenant. All right, and Yahawashi was the blood shed, just as the blood was sprinkled on the people in Exodus 24. You see, well, Yahawashi, his sacrifice was their blood shed for a new covenant. Okay, at the end of this grace period, man. But the payment has already been made. All right, their blood has already paid the price, man. Okay. Jeremiah 31:34 says, they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me from the least of them unto the greatest of them, said the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity and remember their sin no more. Okay. So everyone that's born in the kingdom, they're going to be born what? Under their new covenant. They're not going to have to be taught the law. The law is going to be in them. Okay. And who shed the blood for that covenant? All right, because you go here. Okay. Let's go here. Luke 1. All right. The lamb that take away what? The sin of the world. All right. The world of Israel. Okay. This is Luke 1:68. And it says, blessed be the Lord power of Israel, for he have visited and redeemed his people. And he had raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. Okay. Which is Yahawashi. Is their horn. Horn represents a power. Okay. Because we're coming back in the power as a people through Yahawashi, man, beginning with the elect. Okay, it says, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. Everything was always centered around Yahawashi from the beginning. Okay, because it's through Yahawashi, all right, that these promises will be confirmed forever. Okay, the promises made to our forefather will be established through, all right, the acts of Yahawashi. Okay, and this sacrifice, man. It said that we should be saved from our enemies. Okay, you see that? That's salvation. You see, and it's gonna be through Yahawashi. He's coming back to deliver us from our enemies, man, and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers. You see, that's the same lineage, the same family, to our fathers. The narrative never changes to another people. The promises never change to another people. It's never open up, man. Okay, it says, and to remember his holy covenant, going back to the agreement, that alliance, the oath, all right, which he swore to our father Abraham. Okay, so Yahawashi, all right, his sacrifice will do what, man? Okay, it will reconcile the agreement. Okay, it will create a new agreement between the Lord and his people, man. Okay, and how are we proven? Okay, through faith. We're going to be proven through faith. You see, that's how we're going to be proven before we'll change. All right, it's going to come down to our faith. We're going to have to show faith at the end of this thing, man. Right before we're delivered. Okay, our faith is going to be tested. Our temptation, man. Okay, and Lord will we endure, man. And hey, will be new covenant. Okay, gonna be changed. You see, because Yahawashi came and what he learned obedience. You see, we're learning obedience. It ain't about being perfect in the law. It's about learning obedience, man. Okay, the spirit of obedience, man, because we can't be perfect in the law. Okay, but we have a spirit of obedience, man. We rehearse the righteous acts, and our mindset is obedience, man. Okay, and also what conquering the flesh. Okay, because you look at why Adam fell, he fell to the flesh. Okay, King Solomon, he fell to the flesh. You know, we will go off as a people, man, because we got weak to the flesh, man. You see, but as Yahawashi, he overcame the flesh. He was perfect in the technicalities of the law. Okay, but what did he overcome as Yahawashi was the flesh. Okay, he didn't get on no side mission in the flesh, man. He stayed obedient unto death. You see, the flesh, put us on these side missions, man. Okay, the spirit keeps us obedient. Okay, and Yahawashi, let's say his blood. Okay, that's why you go here. Because when was Yahawashi? Maybe 22. Let me see. Yep. So you go here. Luke 22:1, it says, "Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared, okay, the people." Okay? So Yahawashi, they was plotting to kill Yahawashi during the time of what? The Passover. Okay? You see that? So you go into the timing of it lines up. Yahawashi was sacrificed the night of what? When the lamb of the Passover will be slaughtered. He fulfilled all the law, man. Okay? And that sacrifice was the blood for what? A new covenant. Okay? And you keep reading. It says, "Then enter Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. And when it says he went his way and communed with the chief priests and captains, how he might betray him unto them." So you see how the Lord set it up for Satan to get on Judas Iscariot to make his move to go conspire against Yahawashi, set that up the same time that what the Passover lamb was getting ready to be killed. Okay, and it's gonna go into it. Says, "And they were glad, and they covenanted to give him money, and he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them in the absence of the multitude. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed." Okay, when the Passover must be killed. Okay, so he ate Passover with his disciples that night. Okay, and was betrayed that same night. Okay, in line with what? Hey, the Passover sacrifice, man. Okay, and it's through this sacrifice that there's a remnant. Okay, that's going to be passed over in these times. Okay, that blood of what Yahawashi did, that blood, that sacrifice from this, that blood from the sacrifice of Yahawashi, it covers the elect in this time. Those who are in agreement. That's why you go here, because let's get this real quick. Okay, because this put us in agreement. When you go here, and that's why sacrifice is a big. That's why the Passover. Hey, if you don't believe, you shouldn't participate. You're not fully persuaded, you shouldn't participate, because that's like saying I do. That we're going to be faithful to death. When you take over in the Passover, they say I'm faithful to the death, if need be. For Yahawashi, it's like saying I do. Okay, the Passover is serious. All right, it says it's Matthew 26:26, and they were eating. It said, and as they were eating, Yahawashi took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to his disciples and said, "Take, eat this of my body." And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink you all of it. All right, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sin." Okay, so the blood of the New Testament has already been shed. Okay, now, all right, we have to be proven going through the hour of temptation. Okay, into where we fully into the agreement. Okay, of this new covenant, man. Okay, after this hour of temptation, the new covenant is going to be established, man, because the blood is already paid for, man. It's like how he prepaid it. You see, it's already been prepaid, man. We just got to make it to the end and be rewarded, man. and get the perks of the new covenant. You see, the perks of the new covenant is already there. You see, we just got to endure. You see, that's why you go here, and we'll end it here. All right, this is Isaiah. Is it 62? Maybe 62, I believe. All right, Isaiah 62, and get to the point. All right, yep. Isaiah 62:11 said, "Behold, the Lord YAHAWASHI have proclaimed unto the end of the world. Say ye to the daughter of Zion, Behold, thy salvation cometh. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him." Okay, so YAHAWASHI is coming with a reward. Okay, because the blood has already been shed. Now he just got to come with the reward, those new bodies, deliverance from the destruction. Okay, and ultimately we're going to come down as rulers, man. All right, those are the perks of the new covenant. It's already been paid for. You see, and his work, man, that judgment he's coming with. You see, he's coming with judgment to the earth, man. Righteous judgment to the earth, man. Okay, he's going to put down all governments of the earth. Verse 12, it says, "And they shall call them the holy people." All right, their same lineage, their chosen people, holy, separate people, set apart. Okay, and he made an agreement and an alliance with this separate people. Okay, the redeemed of the Lord, and thou shalt be called, sought out, a city not forsaken, man. And the Lord sent his spirit back, beginning with Ella Alva Bivens, which was John the Baptist coming back. All right, and through the teaching of his word, all right, the spirit of YAHAWASHI has gathered his people. They saw this people. I sought out the remnant of Israel, man. Okay, and he's coming to redeem and gather their remnant. Okay. So Lord will, this was edifying. I just want to tap into that, as we're, in these times, of our feast day, and just understanding, YAHAWASHI, he's the lamb, that blood has been shed, all right, that sacrifice, okay, that's going to establish, the new covenant in his return. Okay. So he doesn't have to deal with the there's no more blood that need to be shed. Now he can just go to war and redeem his people. Okay. So let's we end it there. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters will edify once again. I'm gonna give all praise and glory unto Yahawah Bahashim, Yahawashi Bahashim Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elder GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples for his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutation, hopefully, shalom.